You are currently living in an era with, like, way more time-saving apps, productivity hacks, and automation than literally any human generation in history.
Yeah, it's actually pretty wild when you think about it.
Right. I mean, we have robot vacuums cleaning our floors. We've got algorithms writing our emails for us, and, groceries just appearing on our doorsteps with the tap of a button.
Exactly. Just a tap.
So
Yeah.
here is the million-dollar question for you. Why are you more utterly, completely exhausted right now than, say, a 19th century factory worker?
Wow. Yeah, that is the question.
Because, you try to keep pace, you check all the boxes on your totally optimized to-do list, but at the end of the day, instead of feeling satisfied by all this efficiency, you just feel completely drained.
Yeah.
And if you're nodding along right now, I really want you to know you are not alone in this.
No, not at all. I mean, it is a really profound, almost kind of cruel paradox of modern life.
It really is.
We are just swimming in all these tools designed to give us our time back, yet somehow we feel like we have less time and less energy than ever before.
Yeah, less of everything.
Right. And it's crucial to understand right from the start of this deep dive, if you feel this way, it is an environmental condition. It is a systemic feature of the world we've built.
Right. It's not a you problem.
Absolutely not a personal failure on your part.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the whole mission of today's deep dive is to figure out exactly why our cultural obsession with achievement is just backfiring so spectacularly. We are going to pull apart the core concepts from a really fantastic Mission to the Moon summary of the book, The Burnout Society.
Such a good summary.
It is. We're going to explore how we've basically turned success into this form of voluntary self-exploitation and, well, look at how to actually find a baseline of sanity in a world that just refuses to slow down.
Yeah, and to find a way out of this chronic fatigue, we really have to look closely at the architecture of the trek itself. We have to properly diagnose what the source material defines as the Burnout Society. And it's not just, a catchy phrase.
No, it's very literal.
Exactly. It describes a fundamental shift in how human beings actually operate. Because historically, society was disciplinary.
Like rules-based.
Right. You had a boss, a king, or just a clear set of rules telling you what you should or should not do.
Right, yeah.
You worked your shift, and then, the external pressure stopped, you went home.
But that's totally not our reality anymore. The source paints this really vivid picture of our current world as a society driven entirely by can and able to.
Yes.
It's an environment characterized by this blind forward momentum. Like, we are told constantly that there are no limits.
Not at all.
You can be anything, you can optimize everything, you can hustle 24/7.
And what's fascinating here is why this shift is so deeply damaging to us.
Yeah.
Because when the boundary of the external boss disappears, we don't actually become free.
Oh, we just internalize the boss.
Yeah, exactly. We become our own taskmasters. And, an external boss eventually goes to sleep.
Right.
But an internal boss is in your head at 2 a.m, just whispering that you really ought to be doing more.
Oh, man, it's that voice saying, you are what you produce. Your output is your only value.
That's relentless.
Which, honestly, is a terrifying way to live. But wait a minute. Let me just play devil's advocate here on behalf of anyone listening who really prides themselves on their work ethic.
Sure, go ahead.
Aren't ambition and hard work inherently good things? Like, how did we get to the point where having goals is viewed as this toxic trait?
Well, the goals themselves aren't the problem at all. The nature of our relationship to those goals is where things kind of fall apart.
Okay, how so?
I mean, ambition is a survival trait, absolutely. But in the Burnout Society, the pursuit of the goal completely overrides our basic biological and psychological needs.
Like our need for rest.
Right, for rest, reflection, just general equilibrium.
It feels like we've taken a really helpful tool like ambition and just turned it into a weapon we use against ourselves.
That's a great way to put it.
Like, ambition is supposed to be the flashlight that helps you see where you're going in the dark, right? But instead of pointing it at the path, we are just shining this massive industrial spotlight directly into our own eyes until we go completely blind to the rest of our lives.
That is a perfect visualization. We absolutely blind ourselves to everything except the forward momentum of achievement.
Yeah.
And because society applauds this, I mean, we literally give awards to people for sleeping under their desks and working weekends.
Oh, yeah, the hustle culture badge of honor.
Exactly. So we don't realize we are voluntarily exploiting ourselves. We just push our nervous systems to the brink of total collapse.
Because we bought into the lie.
Right, because we have internalized this fundamentally flawed equation that limitless success equals limitless happiness.
Which brings up a really huge logistical problem here.
Yeah.
Because if relying solely on success and productivity to give us meaning is literally breaking our brains and bodies, how on earth do we actually survive?
Well, that's the thing.
Because we can't all just quit our jobs and move to a yurt in the woods, you know?
Yeah.
We need to work. So how do we function in this society without being destroyed by it?
Right, and the source material actually offers a highly tangible framework for exactly this.
But
It's basically an architectural solution to a psychological problem, and they refer to it as the four-legged table theory.
right, the table theory. But before you explain the four legs, let's just look at the default state most of us are in.
Okay, let's do it.
Because in this burnout society, almost all of us are walking around trying to balance our entire identity on a table that has exactly one massive thick leg right in the center.
Yes, absolutely.
And that leg is our career. It's our conventional success, our output.
Yes, and structurally speaking, a table with only one central leg is basically just a pedestal.
Yeah, that's true.
It might look really impressive when things are perfectly balanced, but it is incredibly fragile.
Very tip prone.
Exactly. The moment you apply uneven pressure to one edge, say, you get passed over for a promotion or you lose a major client.
Or your whole industry faces a downturn.
Right. That one central leg just can't stabilize the whole surface. The entire structure tips over and shatters.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because think of your life like an investment portfolio.
Oh, I like that.
Any amateur financial advisor will tell you not to put 100% of your life savings into one single, highly volatile tech stock.
Of course not.
Because if that stock crashes, you lose your house. So why do we put 100% of our self-worth into the highly volatile stock of career success?
It's so true. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really explains the extreme fragility of modern mental health.
It really does.
The four-legged table theory basically dictates that we must diversify our emotional and time investments. If work is just one leg of your table, you need to intentionally construct three other sturdy legs.
Right, to distribute the weight of your life.
Exactly.
So give me a concrete example.
Yeah.
What are these other legs actually made of? And honestly, how does someone who is already exhausted actually build them?
Well, the other legs are the core non-transactional domains of human experience.
Okay.
So the second leg is typically your relationships, like deep, meaningful connections with family, friends, or community where you aren't networking, you're just existing together.
No ulterior motives.
Right. And the third leg is your physical health and bodily well-being.
Makes sense.
And then the fourth leg is your personal peace. So like a creative outlet, a spiritual practice, or a hobby that has absolutely nothing to do with generating income or status.
Okay, I get the geometry of that. Like,
Yeah.
if you have those four legs built up and you have a totally disastrous week at work, the table wobbles, but it doesn't fall down.
Exactly. It stays up.
You still have your health, your friends, your hobbies. But practically speaking, how does a middle manager who is already working 60 hours a week suddenly manifest 3 extra table legs?
Well, it definitely doesn't happen by adding 60 more hours of work to your week.
Right, that would be terrible.
It happens by shifting the emotional weight. And it starts incredibly small.
By how small?
It means fiercely protecting a 1-hour dinner with a friend and refusing to check your email during it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Or it means engaging in a hobby for 20 minutes without trying to figure out how to monetize it or post about it.
Which leads right into a massive roadblock I think a lot of people hit. I know I definitely do.
What's that?
Let's say I successfully carve out an hour to work on that personal peace leg.
Right.
Like, I sit down on a Sunday afternoon to just, well, relax.
Okay.
Maybe I want to paint or read or just sit on my porch. Literally within 10 minutes, I feel this intense wave of guilt.
Oh, yeah. The guilt.
My brain just starts screaming, you have a laundry list of chores. You haven't answered those Slack messages. You are wasting time.
Yeah.
It's like we want to balance the table, but the fast-paced world has made us absolutely terrified of doing nothing.
You've just hit on the most counterintuitive and perhaps the most important part of the source material.
Right.
Because in a society that equates nonstop action with moral value, doing nothing genuinely feels like a sin.
It does.
We view boredom as this terrifying void, but the text explicitly argues that boredom is not a void at all.
What is it then?
It is the necessary foundational soil of human creativity and actual thought.
Which is just wild to think about because I treat boredom like a predator.
Most people do.
The second I am forced into it, say I'm sitting in a doctor's waiting room or I'm stuck in line at the grocery store, my hand automatically reaches into my pocket for my phone.
Just an instant reflex.
I don't even make a conscious decision. I just instantly seek a screen to save me from having to sit alone with my own thoughts.
And that physical itch, that automatic reaching for the phone, is literally a symptom of the dopamine withdrawal caused by the Burnout Society.
Wow. Dopamine withdrawal.
Yeah. We constantly seek out stimulation,
Yeah.
Scrolling feeds, watching videos, listening to audio at double speed just to avoid feeling empty.
Right.
But there's a deep neurobiological consequence to this. When your brain is constantly processing external input, it cannot engage in what cognitive scientists call the default mode network.
What exactly is that, the default mode network?
So the default mode network is the state your brain enters when it is awake but not focused on the outside world.
Okay.
It's what happens when you stare out a rainy window or take a walk without your headphones on.
Like daydreaming.
Exactly. It is the only state where your brain synthesizes disparate ideas, processes deeply held emotional experiences, and imagines future possibilities.
Wait, really? The only state?
Pretty much. By constantly consuming content to avoid boredom, we are literally blocking our brain's ability to think original thoughts.
That is, wow. It's essentially like sleep for your imagination.
That's a brilliant way to phrase it.
Like if you never let your body sleep, your muscles break down. If you never let your brain rest in a state of profound boredom, your imagination just atrophies.
Yes.
It can't dream up new ideas. It just regurgitates whatever TikTok or LinkedIn post literally just consumed.
Precisely. The sources reveal that true creativity actually requires an empty space to grow.
Huh.
When you constantly consume, you leave no room to produce anything authentic to who you are.
That makes so much sense.
So embracing boredom means sitting with that initial, deeply uncomfortable twitchiness. You have to let the urge to check your phone wash over you and then let it pass.
So we essentially have to consciously endure the withdrawal symptoms of our productivity addiction just to get to the benefits of boredom.
That is an incredibly accurate way to frame it. You have to detox from the imperative to always be doing.
Yeah.
Because on the other side of that initial panic is a mental spaciousness, where your actual self, uninfluenced by an algorithm or a boss, can finally surface.
Okay, let's bring this all together because we're entering the final and probably most practical phase of this discussion.
Let's do it.
We know we're trapped in this voluntary self-exploitation. We know we need to build a four-legged table to distribute our self-worth.
Right.
And we know we have to endure the deeply uncomfortable withdrawal of boredom to let our brains recover.
Exactly.
But, the world isn't going to lower its demands just because we had this realization today.
No, it's not.
My inbox is still going to be full tomorrow morning. So how do we actually execute this escape on a practical level?
Well, this raises an important question. How do we establish boundaries in a world that views boundaries as a lack of dedication?
Right, because pushback is seen as weakness.
Exactly. But the final chapter of the source material addresses this directly. The answer isn't about running away from society or, moving to that yurt.
Too bad the yurt sounded nice.
Right. But it's really about breaking free from the internal pressure right where you stand. And it starts with completely redefining your personal metrics for success.
Meaning what, exactly? Like changing the scorecard.
Exactly. If you have internalized the Burnout Society's metrics, a good day means you checked off 40 tasks, answered every email within 3 minutes, and worked through your lunch break.
Right.
You have to consciously rewrite that. You have to decide that a successful day means you completed 3 essential work tasks, but you also spent 45 minutes completely present with your family, and you took a walk without your phone.
I really want to turn this directly to the person listening right now.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean for you? Because as you try to implement this, as you try to step back and build those other legs of your table, I really need to warn you about the sneakiest, most insidious trap the Burnout Society sets for us.
Oh, you're talking about the trap of competitive relaxation.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I fell into this so hard last year.
Really? How so?
So I realized I was burned out, right? So I decided I needed a quote-unquote self-care routine.
Okay, sounds good in theory.
Right. So I read a bunch of blogs, and suddenly my relaxing Sunday morning rest became this 10-step high-stress operation.
Oh, no.
I had to wake up at 6 a.m., drink exactly 8 ounces of lemon water, do a 30-minute guided meditation, write 3 pages in a gratitude journal, and go for a Zone 2 cardio walk.
That sounds exhausting.
It was. And one Sunday, my meditation app crashed, and I literally had a panic attack because I was failing at relaxing.
Oh.
I had taken the exact same pressure from my workplace and just applied it to my downtime.
That is the ultimate symptom of the condition we've been discussing.
Yeah.
When you do that, you haven't escaped the burnout society at all. You've just changed the uniform.
Seriously.
You turned your own healing into a series of key performance indicators.
KPIs for relaxing. It's so ridiculous.
Right. When your hobbies, your sleep, and your downtime become just another list of metrics to optimize and master, you're still trapped in the exact same paradigm that says your worth equals your output.
So how do we stop doing that? How do we put the internal whip down when it comes to our own rest?
Basically, by dropping the metrics entirely. When the source material suggests we need to look back at ourselves, it doesn't mean looking back to evaluate our performance.
Right.
It means checking in with your fundamental humanity. You don't ask, did I meditate perfectly today? You ask, am I feeling a sense of peace right now? Am I experiencing joy?
It's the shift from being a human doing to a human being.
Exactly. And that requires a tremendous amount of grace and self-compassion. The practical strategy is simply noticing.
Just noticing.
Yeah. Notice when that internal voice starts berating you for not relaxing efficiently enough.
Okay.
Acknowledge that the voice is just the programming of the society you live in, and then consciously choose to ignore it. Give yourself permission to be spectacularly unproductive.
I love that. Okay, let's take a breath and look at the whole map of what we've covered today.
We've covered a lot.
We really have. We started by diagnosing the paradox of our era. Like, we are exhausted not because an evil boss is forcing us to work in a coal mine, but because we have internalized the toxic belief that our value as human beings is entirely dependent on our forward momentum and constant achievement.
Yeah.
We are voluntarily exploiting ourselves.
And from there, we explored the structural solution, the four-legged table theory.
Right.
We discussed the extreme danger of resting your entire identity on the single precarious pedestal of career success. To survive the volatility of the modern world, we have to deliberately shift emotional weight into our relationships, our physical well-being, and our personal peace.
Then we waded into the incredibly uncomfortable territory of boredom.
Yes, the dopamine detox.
We learned that the urge to constantly stimulate our brains with screens is actually destroying our default mode network.
Right.
If we want to be genuinely creative, if we want to have original thoughts again, we just have to endure the dopamine withdrawal of doing absolutely nothing.
And finally, we looked at how to practically rewrite our internal scorecards. We discussed the importance of defining your own metrics for a successful day, and we cautioned against the trap of turning your rest and self-care into just another stressful performance review.
It is a massive, profound shift in perspective.
It really is.
It's about stepping off that high-speed treadmill we talked about at the very beginning.
Yeah.
You don't have to keep sprinting just because the machine is plugged in.
Or you don't.
You have the power to hit the stop button, step off, let your heart rate settle, and actually look around at the life you are living.
It really is a radical act. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over as you transition back into the demands of your day.
Okay.
If future historians look back at our current era, the era of the burnout society, will they judge us by the sheer volume of emails we answered or the endless optimizations we achieved?
Probably not.
Or will they look at the profound personal peace, the deep human connection, and the quiet moments of joy that we willingly sacrifice on the altar of productivity? Wow.
What if the ultimate, most powerful act of rebellion in the modern world isn't working harder, optimizing more, or achieving faster? What if true rebellion is simply giving yourself the permission to just, well, be?
Think about that the next time you feel the panic setting in or the urge to hit the speed up button on your life. Maybe the most essential, deeply productive thing you can do today is absolutely nothing at all.